Hi everybody. So the next shape I'm going to show you how to make is a slab. And a slab is basically, it's just a flat piece of clay. And you need a lot more stuff to make a slab. Slabs are important that you make them right, that you don't just kind of make them with your hands, because they are a lot more fragile and they'll fall apart. Also, if you make your slabs too thick, they have a chance of crumbling in the kiln. You don't want that to happen either. So please make sure when you're making a slab, you're sort of following the instructions here the best you can, so we can have a successful clay project. So I'm moving some of this stuff out of the way. The first thing you need to make a slab is a piece of fabric. Now this fabric has been kind of sitting in like a little ball for a while, so it's kind of wrinkly, but it's okay. I can still use it. So I need a piece of fabric down first. Then I need these things. These are called rails, and what rails will do is they'll hold down your fabric. I'm gonna switch these because this side is less wrinkly than this side. So they'll hold down your fabric, but they'll also help to make sure that your clay is all the same thickness all the way through. Then you can take your clay. Now, slabs, you tend to need a bigger amount of clay, so if you need to grab a couple of pieces and make it into one large piece, that's fine. But what you want to do is you don't want to start with a ball. You actually want to start with kind of a pancake shape, and you can either pancake in your hands or you can kind of push down with your hands on the table, just on top of the fabric. The reason why you need the fabric is it prevents your piece from sticking to the table. You don't want that to happen because it's a big mess and you'll ruin your slab that you just worked so hard on. And I may also get a little frustrated with you because it's really hard to clean off the table. So we have our pancake, we have our fabric, we have our rails. Next you need a rolling pin. Now you may want to inspect the rolling pin for any really dry pieces of clay that are stuck on there, because you don't really want that going into your slab. This one looks pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand up. I'm going to put my rolling pin on my piece of pancake clay, and I'm going to just kind of start rolling it out carefully. Now you can kind of roll sideways too, just to make it a little wider, but I don't want to, I need to have the rolling pin sitting on the rails. That's how it stays the right thickness. The rails are cut to be exactly the perfect thickness to make slabs with, so I don't recommend that you do this without the rails. You certainly can. If you're just making a little shape, that's fine. So I have my slab here. And now what I can do is I like to release it from the fabric. You can see the fabric leaves this really cool texture, which actually might be something you want to keep on your project, maybe not. Otherwise you can use the smooth side. I'll lay it back down. I can move the other stuff out of the way so somebody else can use it. Now from here, you get to decide what shape you want to cut your slab into. I have a circle here that I can lay on my slab, and then you just need a sharp tool. I have a butter knife, which works fine. These are not sharp, they're very dull. And I can use this to kind of cut pieces of clay away from my template here. Just kind of cutting around. You can turn the fabric as well, which is really nice and handy for when you're working. I just throw the scraps off to the side. Got one more little piece to cut off here, right here. Great. Then I can peel the template away, and I have a perfect circle shape. This is really good to be like a base if you need to put something on top of here. Some of you guys may be making plates, or you may be making bowls or other things. This is like a really good place to start if you are making some of those flatter shapes. You can also make a bunch. So let's say I wanted to build with this later. I could cut this in half. Maybe I'll cut it in half again. And now I can use these pieces to build. One thing I do want you to remember though, if you're building with slabs, it's a good idea to let them rest overnight so they can firm up before you start building with them. Otherwise, sometimes they get a little bit too soft and a little too wobbly and they may fall over. They may not stay together. So just for the sake of this video though, I'm just going to go for it with my slabs to build something. So from here, I'm going to take my brush with my slip. I'm going to slip both the pieces that I want to put together. And you can stick them together like this. As you can see, I'm making kind of this L shape. And it's good to keep your scraps nearby because I like to take a little coil piece and I like to stick it in the corner here. And just as like a little insurance policy so it doesn't fall apart, it has a little bit more support. So I have here my L-shape piece of clay that I built with my slabs. All I did in the meantime was just sort of smooth this area out, that little piece of coil that I put there, and that's just to reinforce the walls a little bit. So now I'm going to attach another piece. I have this one here and it'll fit perfectly right in this space. Well, maybe not quite perfectly. Maybe I'll use this one instead. They're both a little bit big. So I'll take my brush with the slip. I'll slip and score here and here. I'll slip and score my edges here. And again, I'll just push them together so I make a nice seal with that slip. I can turn this sideways so you can see. This piece is a little bit taller, which is fine. I can always trim it. And then again, I do want to put that little piece of coil in there again, just as that little insurance policy in the corners. And the little coil helps prevent cracking from happening as well. I'm just sort of smoothing that out with my finger. You could bend a little piece over just to help. But now, I'll cut this little piece off here. Now, I have like this nice little shape that I can, you know, it's great for making, it's like a little pyramid. I can make like shapes, different forms. I can make cubes, pyramids. I can make other types of forms with this. There's so many different things you can do with slabs. You just have to be really careful because they are really fragile. If I were to drop this right now, I'd probably break a certain part of it. But anything that has edges or corners, this is great for making, slabs are great for making those things happen. So slabs, hooray, nice work.